So, what do you think a John Wick video game would look like? Guess. Guess what a John Wick game would look like. Really visualize it. You guessed wrong. The John Wick franchise is big. As in, racked up $1 billion, big. As in, changed the way Hollywood makes action movies, big. As in, not just reviving the career of Keanu Reeves, but ascending him to global icon status.
You're breathtaking!
Big. And so you would think that if there was a John Wick video game, people would know about it. But they don't. Did you? I didn't. Well, obviously that's a lie, I know, but that's because I'm a nerd who isn't cool and beautiful like you, cut me some slack. John Wick Hex really went completely unnoticed. But in order to explain why that was, we first need to understand what the hell actually is this game. Okay, you have one very prominent thought about this game, so let me address it first thing. Yes, it's ugly. Not just graphically, but stylistically as well. There's somehow too much and too little going on at the same time. The HUD feels like it takes up half the screen, and it's comprised of these lifeless grey numbers and shapes, which look about 10 times worse when you don't know what's going on. So let me get you up to speed. John Wick Hex is a linear, story-driven, single-player, turn-based action strategy game based around time. Now, while you were dreaming up the ideal John Wick video game, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure the last phrase that came to your mind was turn-based. Why is that? Because turn-based action is the antithesis of action. Oh lordy, a bad guy. I will kill him with my signature move. Shit. I missed. I will now stand completely still and wait for him to kill me with his signature move, which hopefully will not actually kill me, so I can resume moving and kill him with my signature move, which statistically speaking should work this time. Thing is, the game is turn-based, but it's also not. Does that make sense? Yeah, that was a trap. Of course it doesn't make sense, you fool. The game does work with that classic start-stop formula, but it's always your turn. It's also always your enemy's turn. So the way the game goes is, shit happens. Bullets fly, guns fly, hitting and kicking, ballistic ballet. And then everything stops. Not so much as tumbleweed. Like I said, the game is based around time. Imagine a tactical top-down superhot. This is it. Time moves when you do anything. Taking a single step, shooting, punching, reloading, healing, but enough about my ideal date. It all takes a set amount of time. Typically, the more powerful moves are the ones that take the longest, giving enemies time to violate your personal space, so there's a bit of risk-reward. It is a planning game. You don't make the move in the moment, you make it in between turns when all time has stopped. You have all the options, you just have to make your choice, and sit back and watch the results. Once you've finished a level, the game has a replay feature, which will allow you to view all your actions uncut and in real time. It's quite a good idea on paper because it allows the player to create their own cinematic John Wick fight scene. But in reality, Rain stops moving, animations are ugly and poorly stitched together, sometimes there isn't sound, sometimes it's just delayed. Enemies can and will turn into car sale balloons, fall back with their limbs up like a baby, shake their head with disapproval after death, phase into you, and phase in and out of existence, though that is nothing compared to the camera, which woke up with the express purpose of making epileptics dance. I will now show you a completely unedited clip. This thing is comically awful. The framing is almost always off, with the action being obscured by the environment, and the camera just jumps around all the time. I think the way it works is each section of the map has a preset camera position, which is not necessarily well chosen. So whenever Johnny moves into a new section, the camera will jarringly cut to the preset position. Pair that with enemy kill cams and you have a rave. The game's music is actually pretty good. It's not the kind of thing I'd listen to on its own, but it does a good job giving the game character considering its otherwise lackluster presentation.
Thank your God that you won't live to lose what you've taken from me.
The game does have a story, which is actually canon and takes place sometime before the first movie. John Wick's good friends Winston and Charon have been abducted by a powerful enemy called Hex. John goes on a mission to save his friends, and we play the retelling of events between Hex, Winston, and Charon. Surprisingly enough, Ian McShane and the late great Lance Reddick reprise their roles here, while Hex is played by Troy Baker, who was likely attracted to the project once he learned he'd get to monologue. Keanu Reeves is nowhere to be found. The game instead opts to make John mute, which I think was the right call. Dragging Keanu in would have been a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
The story is a story. That's all there really is to it. It feels like a story that was written with the purpose of having a story. John's friends are kidnapped, so he goes to save them, and then he does. Hex is a somewhat intriguing character. He does a lot of talking, and some of what he has to say is kind of interesting.
Powerful. You see, they don't respect those who bend the knee. They celebrate them, flatter them, give them titles and lands and the illusion of self-determinism, but they don't respect them. Power respects power.
But the problem is, that's all he does. Philosophically rambling is all well and good, but when there's no actions, those words lose their weight. If you do make the mistake of getting invested in Hex as a character, then all that's waiting for you is an incredibly unceremonious ending in which he bites it like a chump and has no final words. John Wick Hex is a fast-paced wrong. That's what everyone expected though, right? Ducking and dodging, headshots, just some visceral up-close action. That's what people wanted, that's what would have paid, so why the hell did they make this? Due to the start-stop nature of the game's combat, fights are not exactly high-octane, though they are methodical. Let me tell you this now, John Wick Hex does not bullshit you. Between moves, there is no time limit, and you know everything. Is your enemy armed, or are they a brawler? Are they going to shoot at you? How long until they fire? Is their shot even going to hit you? What about you? How long does that weapon take to fire? Could you push this guy to get yourself into cover? Would it be quicker to fire back? Is this guy's attack going to land before yours? You need to heal, but how long is that going to take? You have the answer to all of this, because the game tells you. Every action that your enemy is going to make, every action that you could make, the game tells you the odds, and then it's down to your judgment. It is tough but fair. It is a puzzle game with no right answer. You fall, it's because of you, and that just makes sense. Right? The idea of John Wick, this battle-proven legend with decades of experience and muscle memory, when he is in a fight, this is what happens in his head in a fraction of a second. The game may not make you feel like John Wick, but it makes you think like him. I've probably come across as negative on John Wick Hex, and yeah, it's got a lot of flaws. But you have to understand, almost all of those flaws can be excused by the game's clearly very small budget. The team did not look at the replay feature and say, perfect, this is exactly what we wanted. But at the core, the game delivers a fun and engaging loop. It didn't take the obvious route, but it took the one that made sense. Think about it. The reason John Wick stood out so much was not just because of its well-filmed action, but because of tactics, the nitty-gritty of it all. It's easy to forget this now, but there was a time when it was just a given that action heroes didn't need to reload. It was John Wick that showed people that you do need to reload, that backflips and ninja rolls yield little benefit. No guys, he's not gay, he's clutching the gun like a puss because it's tactically efficient. A big part of the movie's advertising was, hey, you know Keanu Reeves actually learned how to do all this shit? And everyone gobbled that up, they loved it. The tactics, the training, that is the mark that John Wick has left. And this is a game about the tactics, about the thought process of the professional. That is why nobody talks about John Wick Hex. That is why only 15% of players have finished the first level, which takes like 20 minutes. That is why this game has so many unfavorable reviews, because everybody read John Wick in the title and expected the obvious. Don't get me wrong, I'd love a full-blown John Wick action game, but I respect this game so fucking much for not being it. Does it do everything right? No. Does it even do most things right? No. But I like this game, and I can honestly say that I have never played anything like it before.
So, I recommend it. Play the game.